Hello world. Today I will be reacting to an interview that Megyn Kelly did with Bill Maher. I used to follow Bill Maher somewhat regularly. I watched his show, but I don't anymore because I don't really find him or his content all that appealing anymore. But I uh, do somewhat regularly follow Megyn Kelly, mostly because a coworker of mine is a big fan of hers. And this is an example of one of maybe the only redeemable traits about Megyn Kelly. Occasionally on her show, she will give the opposition to her viewpoints a voice on her platform. So that is commendable, and this is one of those examples. She had David Pakman on her show, and if you get a chance, check out this entire interview that she did with Bill Maher. It's actually pretty good. So let's get started. All right. And once again, if you get a chance, check out this entire interview.
Well, in part, it's a diagnosis of what's going on with us right now, and in part, to me, it picks up on some.
Get closer to the best deal on Audible. Their store.
Up on something you said to me shortly before I came on your show after my own cancellation at NBC. And you said, you seem to me, privately, you said, you seem to me kind of like me right now, which is somebody without a political home. And
Sure.
I felt that way. And I still feel that way. I mean, I've been a registered independent forever,
Right.
but I know exactly what you're saying. Just the world's lost its mind. And I certainly would never put on somebody's team jersey anymore.
Right, without a team.
Yep.
Right. And you know what? I like it that way.
This is actually something I feel like I've been noticing sort of a lot lately. This idea that people are, politically homeless when, they clearly represent one side or the other. And as far as Megyn Kelly being canceled, uh, she has 1.98 million subscribers on YouTube. So if she was in fact canceled, then this is the greatest comeback, of all time.
Because I don't want to be a part of a team. I mean, I would say I caucus with the Democrats more. I definitely think the right wing is much more dangerous. They don't believe in democracy anymore, and they threw their lot in with a sociopath named Donald Trump. So, don't. No, he's not.
No, I just
Okay, okay.
I want to talk about your feelings on Trump.
Yeah, well, there you go.
But this is how, so you and I are very similar. I feel like you're kind of a 4 and I'm a 6 on the ideological scale. We have a lot of overlap, but you're definitely still
Sure.
going to vote Democrat and I'm definitely going to vote Republican. But there's enough
Well, I'm definitely.
commonality to make us shake our heads yes when the other one speaks a lot.
So you're going to vote for Trump?
I am going to vote for Trump, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even understand that.
Yeah. It is sort of ironic that like less than a minute ago she was talking about how she didn't want to play team sports or whatever in politics and is just like jumping on that Trump train uh, with enthusiasm.
And I understand that Biden is deeply flawed, but he does believe in our way of life. And, I mean, I was the one who was saying from the very beginning, when everyone was laughing at me, that Donald Trump will never give up power. And he didn't. He still hasn't conceded the last election. I don't know what could possibly be more fundamental to you or anyone than you have to concede elections. And he hasn't conceded the last one. He's plainly not going to concede this one. He now has all of his sycophants around him parroting his party line, which is when they ask them, "Will you abide by the election results?" Yes, if it's a free and fair election, which is another way of saying if we win. You really think this is a place this country should be?
I'm not going to defend the election denialism. I'm not one of those people who
But what's
believes
more
that.
important? What kind of country do we have?
How about my daughter not going into a locker room and seeing a man's penis?
That's important too. And I
Very.
mean,
How
look,
about young men on college campuses getting due process when they get
Okay.
accused falsely of rape?
well, yeah, I think that's a false equivalency. I think these things are,
Bullshit. What do you mean?
I think these things are important. But
Yeah, Bill should not really be conceding to Megyn Kelly because these things are not important. The whole like trans people in bathrooms, or like false rape accusations. She's just gish galloping here, making one argument after another without actually, addressing them. And so Bill really shouldn't be conceding to her here.
you can handle these things through the normal due process of our system. But if we lose the system itself, come
But
on.
we didn't.
We didn't so far.
He tried it. It failed.
Right. And now he's had 4 years to put in place people who will make it work again. I don't know if there'll be a John Ratzenberger in Georgia, a noble Republican who stood up to him. He thought last time that he could count on someone being just a Republican to do his bidding. And what he found out was that there are a lot of decent people who are Republicans, which is something I'm trying to tell the Democrats all the time. You can hate Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. And you certainly can't hate half the country. And Republicans is not a byword for bad people. And a lot of them stood up. I mean, even ones who I don't like very much. Mitt Romney, McConnell, obviously Liz Cheney, Chris Christie. There were Mike Pence. These are what I call as good as it gets Republicans. For the people who don't like Republicans, they full-throatedly said Trump lost that election.
And so this is one of the main issues that I'll talk about here is this idea that people like McConnell and other like hardcore conservative Republicans are bringing the Republican Party back from the extreme when the effect ultimately is that the Overton window in the United States gets pushed to the right, where people like Bill Maher, who are independent, or Joe Biden, like painted as like far leftist, when that really just is not the case whatsoever.
No two ways about it. McConnell said it wasn't even a particularly close
A lot of
election.
people said it. A lot of people said, but look, I agree with you that the majority of the Republican Party doesn't believe that. But I do think there's a difference between it was stolen, the nonsense with Dominion voting machines and all that, versus it wasn't fair. And,
What wasn't fair? The
don't
election.
get me started. But what wasn't
Well,
fair?
okay. Well, the
How about
election.
the suppression of the Hunter Biden left excerpt, just for one?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Really? Oh, then we're not as alike as you think.
Okay.
That's a stupid non-story. I mean, yes.
So there are polls that show some 10 to 12% of the electorate says they would have changed their mind had they seen it, had they known about it.
And so here she's citing, one poll where some people said that they would have voted differently if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop story. That is once again one poll, and this poll was actually shown to have poor methodology. And so, as Bill is stating here, this is a non-story, and it has been blown way out of proportion.
It wasn't right. It wasn't right to suppress it, but nobody gives a fuck about Hunter Biden's dick.
Nobody, you're talking about yourself. I'm telling
No,
you,
no.
there are data to
Those
show
are all-
people did care. They said they would have
Nobody who
changed
was
their
going,
vote.
nobody who was going to vote for Trump anyway, or Biden anyway. I mean,
It wasn't about Hunter Biden's man parts. It was about the scandal of his corruption and his dad's corruption. Bill, I used to
Again.
think that Hunter Biden was a hot mess and Joe Biden was embarrassed by him but had to deal. Now I really think he was doing Joe Biden's bidding. Joe Biden is the bad guy who sent his drug-addled son out there to collect money. That's what the laptop shows.
and that's
And so this is just another narrative that is being painted about Joe Biden that, before he, was this bumbling old man in the White House that we have right now, he was like some sort of criminal mastermind, using his political connections in really nefarious ways, where there is just like absolutely no evidence or proof of this, as far as the congressional investigations that have been conducted into that family, the Bidens.
more important than what I was bringing up about not abiding by election results, not respecting what always made this country great, the peaceful transference of power.
See, I don't disagree with you on that. You're not going to get me to say it was a
Well,
great thing the way Trump behaved.
I don't have to get you to agree, disagree. You're obviously someone who looks at an elephant and a mouse and cannot tell which one is bigger.
I disagree. I think
I know.
that's projection by you because I look
No,
at
I
Joe
mean,
Biden.
that's how I see you.
Well, let's talk
After,
about.
why are you telling me this? I mean, this is just typical right-wing talking points. The evil Hunter Biden and the evil Joe Biden. And look, do I like them? No, I don't particularly like them. I think they're very flawed.
Listen.
It's not nearly of the scale.
You're misstating my argument. You're misstating my argument. That Hunter Biden just now on the laptop was brought up as evidence of how the election was not fair. He's not a reason necessarily to not vote for Joe Biden. The reason not to vote for Joe Biden is his policies. You're not woke. He's as woke, or at least his policies are, as they come. The open border bill. How could anybody vote for somebody who keeps this border open with the number of rapes and the number of murders and the numbers of crimes going on with these immigrants?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is another just like completely false narrative that is being painted here. The idea that there are like a bunch of immigrants coming to the United States and committing crime is just not true. When it comes to crime statistics, the majority of crime that is committed is in fact not committed by immigrants. It is committed by native born citizens. Obviously, if you're an immigrant in this country, you're going to be less incentivized to break the law because you don't want to be kicked out of that country. So on top of all that, the crime is actually down after the pandemic peaks, and that the effects that had on violent crime and a lot of other things. We can actually see that crime is falling, and the idea that immigrants are committing crime is once again just not true. And this whole open border thing also is just a false narrative being painted by the right, because they, the 118th Congress attempted to pass the Close Biden's Open Border Act. Now, this was for consideration of such provisions as fall within the jurisdiction of the committee concerned, essentially the Committee on Foreign Affairs. And so this was once again the Close Biden's Open Border Act, and it was ultimately killed in Congress by House Republicans. And so unfortunately, the border was in a sort of state of limbo between the ending of Trump's Title 12 initiatives at the border and Biden's recent executive actions. Let's get back to our video.
But again, these are the normal sorts of issues we've always had in this country that should be taken care of through the normal process we've had. You're talking about the difference between well, I'm talking about the difference between this and something fundamental, which is our democracy. The fact that you have to respect who wins an election, or else you don't have the kind of country we've always had before.
How about?
I mean, I feel like we keep going around the bush about this, and we're not going to make any progress. So let's stop talking about it. But
I mean, you keep saying sort of I'm nuts because I don't see the difference between the elephant and the mouse, and I'm telling you I identify them differently than you do. Hillary Clinton, of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for.
So Megyn here is going to talk about how, Hillary denied the results of the election of 2016. But ultimately, the reality is that Hillary Clinton did, in fact, concede. She didn't file any lawsuits contesting the election, and she did not incite a riot on, the trying to stop the passage of the vote of the Electoral College. So what Hillary did was considerably different from what Donald Trump did.
For her in 16.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
Okay, I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know if that's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency. You could ask Hillary Clinton right now who won that election. She will tell you. Donald Trump won the election.
Now she knows she has to because of what Trump has done.
She came out that night in her dark purple suit and conceded the election.
Correct. And then spent the next 4 years trying to convince us it was not legitimate. Just saying, look, it's not the same as Trump. What Trump did was far more severe. I'm not going to deny that, but don't try to tell me that Hillary Clinton wasn't an election denier, and Jamie Raskin and a whole host of Democrats who are now in prominent positions on Capitol Hill. Doesn't make it great what Trump did, but they don't have clean hands either. But you bypass the immigration question. I mean, like that.
I'm not
a lot of
bypassing it. I
Republicans.
think it's a disaster.
How would you put this guy back in there for 4 more years to leave the doors open?
And like it was so much better under Trump?
Yes, it was better under Trump. Are you kidding me?
It was somewhat better.
Oh, Bill.
It was somewhat better.
Go look up the immigration rates.
Yeah, I know.
Illegal
Right.
immigration
No, I
rates
agree.
for
No,
2020, for
look,
19 to 20.
I'm not defending Biden on immigration. I don't understand why it's so difficult in this country to stop people coming through the border. I don't. And I watched that 60 Minutes piece they did on it a couple of months ago, and they had films of people coming through this hole and the border patrol just watching them and basically waving. I don't understand why. I don't understand why this country can't accomplish something like that. It doesn't seem like it's impossible. But so many things in this what?
That's what's so aggravating. We can accomplish it. We can
Yeah.
stop what's happening at the southern border. We just won't under Joe Biden. And he keeps pretending like he has no agency on it, but he does have agency. There are a lot of executive orders he could do, just like Trump did. He won't. And you know why? It's because.
So Biden has in fact issued executive orders since this interview took place, and new actions will bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum. Biden taking action as congressional Republicans put partisan politics ahead of national security, twice voting against toughest reforms in decades. The previously mentioned legislation that was once again blocked by congressional Republicans. So he is, President Joe Biden has issued some executive orders regarding the border, and unfortunately, Megyn Kelly is still not satisfied with them.
Because of the people who use the word Latinx, who are trying to lecture him that it's not humane to enforce our borders.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The left wing, because they're so afraid always of being called racist, they let that color every issue, and very often wind up with terrible policies.
Being in debt is like sinking in quicksand. You're trapped.
All right, so we don't need to watch her ad for a debt solution company. So unfortunately, the interview ended with Bill talking about how the left is just calling anyone and everything racist, showing that people like him obviously have and are being shifted towards the center, or to the right, shifting the Overton window in this country. And so with that being said, as always, remember, knowledge is power.